Hey YouTube, what's good and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be trying something a bit different because I want to try to expand my content and things that I do on this channel. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Ryan. I make videos for this channel, Jonga, and I really like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And yeah, I play a lot. So this series is something I'm gonna maybe do recurringly, and I guess the name of the video will be 4 locals, 4 decks. So that means in the previous week I went to 4 locals and I played 4 different decks, and let's chuck them all into the one video. I think that'll be a lot easier for me to handle as well as to communicate to you guys. So I think the mic quality could be improved. Let me know. I'm pretty sure I'm going to work on it. And yeah, so I guess my main logic is there's a lot of branded going around right now, so kind of boring but also kind of interesting. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So to preface this is the first deck I played. Pretty standard adventure branded Despia kind of stuff. And again, to also note, I hadn't tested this at all. This was the first time I was playing literally branded fusion in a deck, and I guess I've watched hundreds of OCG YouTube videos, so I know what all the cards do, but knowing what they do, observing the replays isn't the same as playing the deck itself. So with that in mind, this is me with brand new, fresh eyes, first deck I played. And I guess my logic is I like to have a, large deck size, all-round approach so I can try and get the maximum information I can in one, locals sitting down, just to get a feel of the deck and the cards and see what I like and what I don't like. Because one thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! I enjoy doing the most is forming my own opinion and not doing what everyone else does. And so the only way to do that is to, aggressively test and perhaps, do some random 50 card deck lists with one of sometimes to, get that point across. So my initial thoughts on this more standard branded version is that, it's really strong. The Adventure Engine combined with Branded Fusion, Branded Opening is just ridiculously strong, so good. Crossout is ridiculously overpowered. But I probably shouldn't be playing Ghost Ogre anymore. I should be playing Ghost Bell. But this recipe, like what I found the most discerning with this recipe was I feel like I just always wanted more monsters to fuse with. I feel like I always want more Tragedy. I always want more Aluba. And yeah, that was my impression from playing this deck. At that locals in particular, I went 4-1, I believe, or 3-1. You can find all the stuff on my own personal Twitter, by the way. I pretty much post the deck list as soon as I play them. So yeah, my thoughts on this was like, it's incredibly strong. You have all these 2 card combinations that are just unbeatable. Snow is definitely a staple. And yeah, I think Talents is really good, but hand traps in general are pretty hit or miss. Like there's so many ways of beating hand traps and so many ways to play through them. They do kind of feel a bit void. The extra deck could be better. Like you don't really make Link Spider or Anaconda as much as I thought I would. You also don't need 3 Albion. You can, but you can manage a bit better. Probably play another Super Poly target that's a bit more diverse. Proskenion's pretty nuts with Super Poly though. And probably play another of the branded Albaz fusions to probably summon Albaz or search Albaz in the end phase. That's also really, really good. And then the side deck's pretty random, but I will say that Super Poly has performed pretty well for me. And especially in mirror matches, like if they're not playing Adventure, they're not ending on Omni Negates, which means a lot of times like Lightning Storm and evenly matched Pancratops are really good. Like surprisingly really, really, really good. So yeah, my impressions with this deck, very strong, very solid. It's pretty simple at what it does, but it does have some restrictions, of course, with Aluba and I really like the Patchwork engine as well. Like the Edge Imp and Patchwork is so good. Anyway, moving on to the second deck list. Now this is the goo, the spice, whatever meme word you want to use, but this is an idea I thought of simply because Allure of Darkness, Banish Tragedy, Banish Mercuria, and you get their search effects. So this surprisingly did a lot better than the previous one. Like, I still lost. I think I went 3-1 at this locals. I lost in the last round, but that was kind of a bit of an oddity game where game 1 and game 3, when I had to break his board, I didn't see Branded Fusion, Talents, or Super Poly in any of those two games. And if I drew either one of those cards, I would have easily won. But that's beside the point. My impression was, from the previous locals, I want more monsters to fuse with. So I added a third Tragedy, a second Libitum, added a Dramaturge, the 3 Albaz. Oh, well, this is kind of good timing because I guess the day I played this, it turns out Andres Torres also played this in his YCS winning deck, and yeah, I can see why. Like, you can begin with Branded Fusion, it gets ashed, but then, I still have Albaz and a Poly in my hand, so I'm still making the, the Mirror Jade and the Albion, where before you would not have been able to at all. So yeah, definitely this is very underrated because I don't think they're going to side draw against you. So there was one game where I literally allure, Foolish Kortsako. I had 9 cards in my hand before I started playing. It was sick. It was so good. But like in terms of the ratios, like I probably have to cut down a little bit somewhere. Maybe 1 less talents, or maybe cut an Albaz or a Mercuria. They're not that needed, but like when you allure banish one of these two, it's crack. It's really good. So this was surprising. Like if there was a high level event like on the next day, I probably would have played this version over the adventure version just because of how explosive and powerful it felt. At every game you just reached your power cards. This one, the extra deck is pretty much always going to be 15 fusions. Not much to say here, but I did include this one so I could search the Mercuria, and the Triffivertum is just a bit, probably should just be Starving Venom or another fusion target, maybe the Gearfried Knight, but Super Poly is so weird. Like, it's so strong. It works with all your main deck cards, but still, it's just so strong, but also kind of weird, because often you want this random cards you just can't foresee ever needing. And then this side deck, I was trying to be a little bit like aggressive and cheeky with, cross out Ash. So obviously when I'm going first, I'm like cross out and Ash is for when I go first, because, people just Ash Branded Fusion every game. And this deck's also like, I'm gonna side like 1 D barrier and the crossouts for when I go second, like in mirror matches, because everyone was on Dimensional Barrier at this locals. A bit of an aggressive strategy, but a bit cheeky. Also, the Banshee and the Zombie World, like they're probably not gonna be needed soon because no one's really playing Flunder, but at a big event you probably still would. But yeah, so my opinions on this deck was, it's something a bit different, not the standard, but surprisingly explosive and really good. Oh yeah, you definitely cut the 3 banded in red. Absolutely, definitely cut that. You don't need 3, probably just 2 is fine. Alright, moving on to the third deck. So this is like branded Eldritch and Souls. Again, a lot going on in this deck, so let's just try and break it down. So it's kind of like a good stuff Eldritch deck with the Souls and the Eldritch, but obviously the main synergy you're going for is Branded Fusion send Golden Lord with the Albion Dragon, and if you draw the Scarlet with a Branded Fusion, you can immediately send your Scarlet with the Golden Lord you just sent to set up your Eldland cards, your Golden Land cards. And so this whole deck's just about discarding cards, getting advantage. You have the Adventure Engine, you have Souls, pitching, all that stuff, all the good stuff. Skill Drain is surprisingly good because it surprisingly works well with all the high level beat sticks you're playing. I decided to include a Monster Reborn randomly, probably don't play that for next time. Yeah, this deck felt really good. I nearly won that locals as well, but in one of my rounds I only drew Eldritch cards. And then I played versus, Sword Soul, and they just had a Cosmic and a Vishuddha, and if you just have Eldritch cards against, even a Vishuddha, sometimes it's not good enough. So that was sad. But this deck felt very good, like so strong again. Probably the Ghost Bell. Ghost Ogre should be Ghost Bell. Other than that, the simple adjustment would be take out this for a Bell, take out this for maybe another Floodgate like card, or another trap card in general, but maybe even a third Golden Lord, because like drawing Golden Lord is so good. You always pitch it, it always makes Anaconda, it always comes, sets up. One thing though, I have theorized since I realized that the Elixir cards are so good with Branded Fusion, was maybe you should just play more Elixir cards, play the black and the white Awakenings to make that synergy a bit higher. So maybe if I ever play this again next time, I'll do that. But in terms of the extra deck, I am playing the one Chimera, the one Branded in red, because I found previously if I would go offensive with Mirror Jade, I would banish something, and I want something good to set, and that's often you get the Branded red Ed phase, so you have the interaction with your Chimera on their turn. I think that is really good, comes up a lot for me anyway. But I wasn't really link summoning as much as what I thought in this deck. But obviously the Charmers are insane, Selene is at end games. And then I guess the advantage of this deck is you get to recite Lava Golem, because you literally don't have any normal summon if you don't want to. And Lava Golem is really sick at breaking boards, he's good fun. But other than that, would I play this deck again? Probably not. It's a bit too all over the place, and it needs more synergies, and it requires you to draw specific combinations with other specific combinations more often than the previous two decks. And then if you just draw Eldritch cards, you feel really bad. So that's definitely not good there. And then moving on to the last deck. So for the fourth locals, arguably the hardest locals that I had to attend, because very strong people, I just decided I want to go full combo. I want to add in more souls, more illusions, the Dotscaper to make one card Anacondas, and go from there. And so again, this deck felt really good again, but the deck size is just so large that you can't see the cards you want. And I guess you have some really insane turns where you combine Fusion Destiny and Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer with the Branded Fusion, and you have like insane fields. But again, main problem, deck size is a bit too big. Definitely should put in Prosperities if you were to play a deck like this, just for more consistency, more stuff going on, so you can get to the cards you need to see more often. Again, I'm not sure why I'm not playing 3 Golden Lord. I probably should be playing 3 Golden Lord. And then often you also just draw like a lot of monsters, and then if you draw a lot of monsters, like the only real thing you can do on turn 1 is make the Anaconda. So I actually found myself wanting like, damn, I wish I had like a Hulk combo in here somewhere, but there's no way you could fit all that in this deck. But again, Skill Drain's really fun. Talents is really broken. Crossout was really good in this deck as well. And Dotscaper is it all worked well, but it's like you only go like 2 wins, 2 losses, just because you just consistently can't see the cards you need to break boards. And honestly, I'm not playing enough of them. I didn't change my side deck, I don't think, from the previous deck, because I have to play 1 locals and then go to the next. But like, yeah, you don't have enough to break through some crazy combo boards. Anyway guys, thank you for listening. I hope the audio quality is enduring and this was somewhat interesting. I didn't rant too much, but hopefully that this will be a recurring thing on the channel where I can just sit here and talk about the decks I played over the week. Just because, I mean, the flooded amount of content on YouTube of, all the different kind of branded decks is a bit crazy. So hopefully this keeps it a bit more dynamic and interesting. You get exposed to new ideas, some new cool stuff, and I mean, there's going to be another one of these done next week, I hope, with even more cool Branded Fusion decks. And yeah, I just got way more ideas for this card, way more wild stuff than even just this, I hope. So thanks for listening, stay tuned, and bye bye.